All right, all right. Welcome back to Studio 39, round two, aka the Bear Cave. I'm Rob Odie, and this is Spotlight 39. I missed it last time, so I'm gonna shout it out now. Happy St. Patrick's Day. If you're not wearing green, here's a virtual pinch. But nonetheless, man, continue to do what you do. Share, subscribe, blow it up on social media. Comment down below. Tell us who you want to have on the show, right? Everybody's got a story to share, and I want to get those stories on here so we can get them out there so we can help as many student athletes as possible. Now that that's out the way, man, let's get into who you are, right? So tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and all that good stuff. And then we'll drop some knowledge on these kids.
I appreciate you having me on here. My name is Doug Madoski. I'm the head football coach of the Maricopa Mustangs of the Ho-Ho-Com Junior College Athletic Conference. Also the head football coach at Mountain Ridge High School. It's kind of a unique combination, I guess you could say. Before going to Mountain Ridge, I was at Scottsdale Community College as the head football coach there for, I think, 16 years. Started there in '01 after coming to Arizona to play for the Rattlers, and played junior college football myself before I moved on to Division I football, and passionate about it, and certainly I was excited about it until they got rid of football here, and we started it up as a nonprofit. And I was blessed enough to be able to go land at Mountain Ridge High School and try my hand at high school coaching as well, and doing them at the same time. So I guess it's all football all the time, but it's a heck of a lot of fun.
Heck of a lot of fun, man. So you said you played junior college yourself, right? So you went that path and then went D1. What D1 program we play at?
I ended up going to Utah State University. I was there back when I was originally recruited by John L. Smith and Bobby Petrino and those guys, and ended up playing for Coach Dave Arslanian over there. Is how I finished up. But before that, yeah, I played community college football in Stockton, California at San Joaquin Delta Community College, and did that for 2 seasons until I figured out how to become a qualifier and move on, or eligible to receive a scholarship. And it was it was the best thing that ever happened to me, quite honestly. I mean, I don't know where I'd be without it, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about junior college football. Is I just know the life I was heading down wasn't going to be, I guess you could say, the best. I wasn't making all the best decisions, I guess you could say, but had a junior college coach that put his arm around me and kind of kicked me in the butt when he needed to, and loved on me when he needed to, and motivated me and pushed me. And I think I ended up with 80 some odd Division I offers, and oddly enough, chose Utah.
Okay. So that's interesting, right? The fact that
It is.
you recognized, hey, once you went the junior college route, you could do different things in life, right? And you found that
Oh,
avenue, and you got the D1 blessing, many of them from the sounds of it, and chose your path, and here we are, full circle. So let's talk about junior college or JUCO college, right? JUCO football, right? Um, I personally, I'm just now learning a little bit, so I'm pretty dumbfounded when it comes to JUCO. I had a couple of guys from Arizona. I think it's called Papago. Is that how it's pronounced?
mhm.
Yep. So I had a
Yep.
couple of guys last week. Great gentlemen, represent themselves very well, and I think both of them have bright futures. At D1, caliber schools, right? So, if you don't mind, just share with me what JUCO is, right? What is the junior college route? Because you hear Cam Newton went that route. Alvin Kamara went that route. A handful of big time players have gone that route, but you don't hear a whole lot about it. So, if you don't mind taking the time to kind of just school me and school, our viewers on what JUCO is and what it does for these kids.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, essentially, junior college is for guys that, I tell people that regardless of the path you take, everybody's got a story. And typically when you start looking at that junior college path, it's guys that didn't have the GPA coming out of high school, didn't score high enough on a test, didn't have a core course requirement that the NC2A requires in order for you to be the qualifier that allows you to accept a scholarship, you know, immediately from high school. So for guys that are like that, ultimately they can go to the junior college route and they can play a season or 2 seasons, graduate with their associate's degree, show that they can do college level work by getting a 2.5 GPA and passing all their classes, get the associate's degree, and then ultimately show that they're capable of handling the college, academic requirements, and move on and get a scholarship to play at any university across the country. For other guys, everybody kind of develops at their own time. Nobody knows when you're gonna mature. Nobody knows when you're gonna hit that growth spurt or anything else. So for some other guys, it may not be an academic issue. It may be a development issue, whether it's a strength, a skill set, or anything like that. So guys that are under recruited can go to that same route. Ultimately, if they've got great grades, they don't necessarily have to be in a junior college for 2 years or graduate with an associate's degree because they've already met the requirements to go right into a 4-year school. But it's a matter of trying to basically supercharge your recruiting. If you've been under recruited, or some guys play in a small program or a small town. I know that my hometown at the time when I was growing up, it was just a little small country town. I call it Central California. Most people call it Northern California, but just small town, and you don't have a ton of traffic that comes through there. When 4-year schools are out recruiting, they don't get out of some of those major cities sometimes. So it was an opportunity to go out there and show that you actually can play at a high level, play against other high level players, and it gives you that shot to what I tell our guys all the time is the single best bet in the world you'll ever make is on yourself. And if you believe in yourself and you believe that you're being under recruited, or you believe that you're destined for something bigger than maybe what you have right now, you need to go out there and prove it.
That's exactly
So,
it, man.
in a nutshell, I would say that's junior college.
Good deal. Yeah, no,
Say that again.
that's pretty cool, man. Like that was my assumption based on the few guys that I've talked to, but the great detail was what I was hoping for, and I got it. So I appreciate that, man. So that's exactly what JUCO is, right? It's the bet on your, for folks that don't have the grades, like you said, you go junior college, and you find your way. You're either going to make it or you won't. And junior college isn't for everyone. It's pretty difficult to get through. But if you think about the talent that's come through junior college, and the likes of Cam Newton and Alvin Kamara, and I'm sure plenty of others, but those are the ones that come to mind, man. Like it's very possible. So it's not a bad option by any means. Now, what are scholarship options for junior college? Because and there's some programs that offer scholarships, partial. Are there any that offer full? What is the scholarship opportunity look like for JUCO?
So, I mean, it's really varied. I mean, yeah, there are some that offer full rides. I mean, they'll give you housing, tuition, books, fees, meal plans, all of it. I mean, it's just like being at a 4-year school on a Division I scholarship. There's other programs then that don't offer any scholarships. I mean, obviously the junior college league that I'm associated with right now, that we've started to build and done as a nonprofit, that one doesn't currently offer scholarships to individuals. It's an opportunity though for you to come in and play. With the framework and the way that we structured it was to make sure that everything that you ended up costing for you to go to school, play football, to live, everything falls under that financial aid number. When I was at Scottsdale Community College, we had 70% of our roster at least was full financial aid guys. So we felt like it was important that this wasn't about, you get some of these programs go out there and they recruit guys and they tell them, hey, you got a scholarship, but you got to pay $28,000 a year in student loans. For us, we wanted to be sympathetic and recognize that student loan debt is real debt, and going out there and acting like it never has to be paid isn't really the way to do this. So we've tried to find a way to make it work within, a reasonable amount of money in your financial aid number. So that way, for some of the kids that are, if you're a full Pell qualifier, it doesn't cost you anything to do it. But the big thing for us is making sure that we address whatever I made the comment about everybody's got a story. So to me, it's making sure that we're addressing whatever that story is. If you struggled academically, then we need to make sure that we have the support and the structure in place to be able to get you through the academic aspect of the beginning stages of college. I mean, you're taking a lot of core courses to get yourselves there. So, but so some places are full scholarships. State of California doesn't offer any scholarships. But the tuition rate is different than it may be in some other places. So it all kind of varies by which conference you're in or which area of the country you're doing it in. But I think the best part is it's just opportunities for everybody, whether you make it right out of high school or you don't. It's just another great opportunity for you to make it.
Very cool, man. Very, very cool. Yeah, I was very curious, man, because I had a junior college coach reach out to me on Twitter about a young man that I had on the show, and he expressed that he still had scholarship money, and I was like, man, I didn't think junior colleges offered scholarships. That was the first that I had heard about a scholarship, and I figured I would get you to explain that because that's an area, gray area for myself. But cool, man. So let's transition away from JUCO and let's talk about high school, right? Because you kind of had the two-headed monster, right? You juggle both. So Mountain Ridge, right? That's where we're at.
Yes,
So let's talk about
we're
Mountain
at
Ridge,
Mountain
man.
Ridge.
What's Mountain Ridge got?
So Mountain Ridge, Mountain Ridge is exciting for me, and it's really like one of those. I don't know if any day you wake up if there's not a test or there's not a challenge, but I know that for me, I had done JUCO football for so long, when I was at Scottsdale. I'd started there in '01. I think I became the head coach there in 2006. So I'd been there for so long that for me, getting a guy through college and getting scholarships and going through that process is, I mean, it's like the back of your hand. You just do it so much that what may seem daunting or intimidating to people who don't have, kids that have been through college or going through that path before may become overwhelmed. And it was, I don't want to say you take it for granted, but it's just become really easy. High school is a whole new ball game for me. I mean, I had never done it. I never coached high school before I went to coach at junior college. So ultimately, when Maricopa Community College District made the decision to get rid of football in all four of the schools that they had that offered it, and then basically the Western States Football League dropped after Maricopa, everybody in their state of Arizona basically had dropped football. While we were bringing it back through the nonprofit that we created, there was an opportunity at the school that was basically less than a mile from my house, and they were, kind of going through some things. The team, I think, was 0-18 at the time, hadn't won a game. Their last season that they played, they were 0-10, and I think they lost 8 the year before in a row. And their coach was no longer there and let go. And I had some buddies of mine that I've stayed in contact with that asked me if I'd have any interest in the position. And at first my answer was no. I mean, I'm not a high school guy. I've never done it before. And, as I started looking at it more and more, I started thinking, if I'm not going to be coaching at Scottsdale right now, and, we're getting this JUCO thing up and running again, which has taken a ton of time. If I've got a unique skill set that allows me to help these kids and to help this school with where they're at right now, then, maybe I should at least take a look at it. And, I told them I'd go ahead and apply for the position. I did, and they interviewed me, hired me, and I jumped all into this high school thing that is still, I mean, it's been an interesting 2-year learning curve, but, my first year there, we made the playoffs. I think we were the team that really shocked everybody to go from not winning to a playoff team. And last year with COVID, we ended up, we lost some pretty good senior leadership after that first year, and ended up, we'd had a freshman team that was really special. I mean, they ended up going 8-1 on the year, and had some really talented guys. So we brought a bunch of those guys up. At one point, we started 8 sophomores on the offensive side of the ball alone. So it was a learning curve and a learning time for them. We were probably a little bit outgunned as far as, strength and just football IQ, but we felt like if we kind of threw them into the fire that year, that we would really be building this thing for their juniors and senior years. And I think we ended up going 3-5, or so I think it was 3-5 last year in a shortened season, and with COVID and everything, it kind of hit us. But I think the future is pretty bright, and we're going to continue to grow this thing and really try to get Mountain Ridge back up on the map.
There you go, man. So that's going to raise the question, man. Like, looking at my Twitter feed, I see the transfer portal for college, right, blew up. I mean, it was
Yeah.
kids galore. They were, putting their name in the portal left and right, man. How does that translate to the high school game? What is that looking like for you? In your area. Do we
I mean,
have
I think
kids,
that
looking at other opportunities? Do we have other schools, recruiting? Like, what does that look like?
no question. I mean, I think that's one of the things that was really unique to me about the high school game is that, you always saw the players transferring from a distance. When I was at the college level, you'd see a guy that would leave, Desert Mountain and go to Saguaro. You'd see a guy that would leave this school and go to this school. And you knew, I mean, you just talk to coaches because you're always out recruiting those kids as well for the junior college level. You're talking to coaches and you hear about all the recruiting that goes on at the high school level. And, I've always thought that was weird. I think that, to me, it's one of those things where they're already getting recruited in college. The state of Arizona already allows for open enrollment, which I'm a huge advocate for. I think that as a parent, you should have the right to put your kid in any school that you believe is best for them. And I wouldn't even be so naive to say that it's just about the education. I understand in some cases that, if you take the sport of football, for instance, it's a way out. It's a way to make sure that a kid, has the best opportunity to get to college and access education. So I'm a big proponent for that, and think that it's something that's vastly important. But I've always been surprised at the aspect of high school coaches going out and recruiting, essentially, other high school football players to build their rosters up. I think it sets a dangerous precedent. I think it's one of those things that we create a lot of really odd expectations, and it's a challenge. I know that at Mountain Ridge, I made the comment about we had a really special freshman class. My first season there at at Mountain Ridge, and One of our better players, Derek English, for instance, is a guy that, we had just got a full scholarship to the University of Arizona. Well, we got it under Coach Sumlin, and then the new staff offered him again. We made sure that he still had that same scholarship. I mean, the kid's a sophomore with the scholarship to the U of A. A week and a half ago, we got him a scholarship to Michigan State University. He was one of, I think, the first 5 or 6 kids in the 2023 class Michigan State offered. And, within a week after that, he was transferring after, I'm just the guy that's going to call it what it is. He's recruited to Saguaro High School, and I don't begrudge him or Saguaro for that. I can appreciate kids like the recruiting process, and they want to know that they're trying to advance themselves as best they possibly can. But certainly it's frustrating that you've got to you're trying to get kids to want to come to your school with open enrollment, and then you got to figure out ways to try to keep your kids, even when you're placing them and you're moving them on, and you're developing talent that people hadn't already found, and then you ultimately end up losing it. It's obviously a challenge, and it's something that, again, I've been in high school football for 2 years and trying to understand this game, and I'm just shocked that, you're supposed to recruit them apparently in 8th grade. You're supposed to keep them and keep recruiting them as sophomores. You're supposed to recruit them as seniors. Seems like all you're going to do anymore is recruit kids. So, but at the same time, I can appreciate it, and I want to see, Derek's a great kid. He's got a great family, and I want to see him be successful. But it's frustrating that at some point I feel like this game is about these kids. I'm not at Mountain Ridge to boost my resume. I'm not. This isn't my audition for the next school in Arizona to decide to offer a 4-year program. This is, at the end of the day, this is about these kids and giving them an opportunity to access education at a higher level and to drastically reduce the cost of it if possible. And if they decide not to go into college and play football, to obviously grow them up as people and grow them up. And, my big thing has always been that we want to create transformational growth in the young men of the future of America. So, I think football does that for us.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree to the least bit, man. Football has definitely been the scapegoat. Sports in general, especially during the times we're living in, right? COVID is really taking the toll on quite a few people, right? Even if they were considered to be strong mentally, right? They never had mental health issues or anything like that. Not being able to suit up and go play football and go do the thing that you're passionate about, that you love, man, is pretty heartbreaking. And
No
then
question.
it's even harder to watch certain areas in the country, right? We got Texas that is completely wide open, and then I'm in Virginia, which is pretty locked down. So it's real different, right? Virginia just got suited up. I think they started 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, for their football season. And then I got some guys out in Illinois, man. Like they start Friday night, right? Like it's just mind blowing that that's happening. And then
No question.
you take the college opportunities with them wanting, looking to be recruited, right? You've got the extended dead period, which makes it difficult. And then to put the icing on the cake, we got other high school programs, trying to cherry pick and recruit, kids from other schools, right? So it's very difficult times completely all the way
That,
around, to
that was
say the
one.
least.
That was one of the things that was so surprising to me this year. When California, obviously they border right up next to us, decided they weren't going to play this fall, and I started seeing the influx of California kids, and I get it in some respects. If you're a player that you're trying to, there's no guarantee you're going to play in the spring, and you're looking for a place, and you want to make sure you have the opportunity. I understand it in some respects, but I always get nervous anytime you start taking young people and you start to remove them from their network, that sphere of influence that keeps them grounded in some respects. It's the people that they're able to go to when there's trouble or it's a tough time in life. Let's be real. Everybody that's it's when you're 17, 18, 15 years old, anything like that, when you're in those high school years. I think we've all been there and thought they were the most difficult, challenging years of our life. And I think that we look back
Sure.
when we're, in my case, 40 some odd years old, and I look back and say, okay, well, it's not that hard being 18. But man, when you're 18, it's hard being 18.
Yeah.
So I think it's always a challenge to take away, kids from their friends and their family. But I also understand that this is a unique, off the wall year. And it's been crazy challenging for these kids. I think it's still crazy challenging for coaches right now. I can't tell you how many NC2A coaches I've talked to that are still trying to figure things out with the log jam of everybody getting the year back and scholarships not increasing. And now you've got kids that, you may have felt like you were going to lose some guys, and then let's say kids didn't go in the portal or they didn't go to the draft. Now they can come back and still maintain their scholarship, and it holds scholarship. So there's this log jam that's now created at the 4 year level that I think in the coaches that I've talked with are still trying to sort out what is this really going to look like a year from now, 2 years from now. I think it's just now really hitting to them to try to
Yep.
figure some of this stuff out.
Yeah, I think the 20, the 22, but more so the 23 are probably going to feel it a little bit more, just because of people the eligibility, right? You get to come back for your fifth year of eligibility, and like you said, they get to carry that scholarship with them, right? That
Yep.
scholarship money that they thought was going to open up. It's no longer open up. So it's very difficult times, man. So look, you you definitely dropped some knowledge on me. Hopefully, you drop some knowledge, on the kids out there that will watch this, man. But is there any? Let's do this. Is there any advice that you would lend to any high school student athlete? Not just on the West Coast, man, but just anywhere. What is some good advice that if they're still looking for that first blessing, right? That first offer, what would you suggest that they do differently, to really rev up, their process and more importantly, how would you what would you do or how would you recommend, that they open their eyes to the bigger picture and not just be D1 or bust, right? Because everybody wants to go D1, right? Everybody wants to go play at Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State. But the reality of the thing is, not everybody is that level of talent. But also, they've only got 50 some odd spots on the roster, right? So they can't
Yep.
fit everybody, no matter how much talent you got. So what's some advice that you would give, the kids still looking for that first blessing, man?
I think the first thing I would tell anybody is be patient. I mean, control that which you can control. I mean, everybody wants to control things that are outside of our sphere of influence and things that we have no ability to actually control. So the biggest thing I would tell somebody is continue to work. I mean, continue to do the things that you've got to do to put your best foot forward every day you get up and try to get better. Coaches are going to find you. They're going to be able to sort this stuff out. The other side of that is, I think you got to be somewhat realistic. If you're wanting to play at Clemson or Alabama or Ohio State, and you've got Division II schools across the country or Division III schools or NAIA schools across the country that are the only people recruiting you, it doesn't mean that you're not a player that's capable of playing Division I football. But at the same time, if everybody right now is saying this is what you are, then you may really be that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I
Sure.
tried telling my own kid that I've told players at the community college that there's no shame in playing Division II football. The shame is if you're supposed to play in front of 80,000 people and you didn't take care of your business to play in front of 80,000 people, and because of that you're playing in front of 8,000 people. That's the shame. You should get up every day and work your tail off and do the best you possibly can with the skill set that you've been blessed with, and expand it as much as you can. If you feel like you're still being overlooked, then I do think the junior college route is a way to go. I think that's another opportunity that, especially during this time right now, is it gives coaches that opportunity to let everything kind of sort itself out. It buys you time to stay in the game, basically, instead of taking the first thing that comes your way. If you're passionate, you think that you have some different opportunities, then find ways to expand those opportunities. That may mean that you do have to be patient. You do have to look at a different route, but I mean, I was a guy, like I said, that played junior college football. I was patient. I went to work on myself and quit worrying about all the outside noise around me. And it ended up panning out pretty well for me. I mean, I ended up having the opportunity to go play Division I football. And, I've signed 2 professional contracts and done my thing. And, football was great to me because of that. But I think that at the end of the day, it really comes down to controlling what you can control and being patient and making your opportunities and making the most of them when you do get them.
Look, strong advice from a very tenured coach, man. Look, Doug, I appreciate you taking the time, jumping on, just, sharing some knowledge, man, opening up the JUCO route and what it does and what it can do for people. And then, talking some high school football because, like I said, man, you're a two-headed monster, right? You got a little of this and a little of that.
A little
So
bit.
let's stay in contact, man. Let's run this back, down the road, man. I'd love to chat with you again. But for the viewers out there, continue to do what you do. Subscribe, share, blast it on your social media. Give this video a thumbs up. Let's grow the video, right? That's the only way we're going to do it. But look, Spotlight 39 is the platform for anything recruiting, right? If you got a story to share, let's put it out there. Let's get that story out there because I think it can impact somebody else in a positive way. So again, I'm Rob Bodie. This was Spotlight 39. Coach Doug, man, I appreciate you. We'll stay in contact until next time. We'll talk, all right?
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.